No one warned you about the quiet part of divorce. Not the arguments, not the paperwork, not the public relief, but the moment, weeks later, when the noise fades and reality finally speaks. This video isn't about blame, revenge, or proving anyone wrong. It's about something far more uncomfortable. What actually happens when the excitement of leaving wears off and life starts asking questions you didn't prepare answers for? Because for many ex-wives, divorce doesn't end a chapter, it begins a psychological journey they never expected to take. Divorce is often described as freedom, a fresh chapter, or a brave new beginning. Divorce is often described as freedom, a fresh chapter, or a brave new beginning. But what rarely gets discussed is what actually happens after the paperwork is done. The friends stop checking in, and real life settles in. Today, we're not here to attack anyone or glorify pain. We're here to talk honestly about how life often changes for an ex-wife after divorce, in ways most people never expect. Not the social media version, not the inspirational quotes. The quiet psychological shift that happens behind closed doors. Right after divorce, there is usually a strong emotional rush. It feels empowering. There's relief, a sense of courage, even pride. Many women feel like they've finally chosen themselves. They reorganize their space, change routines, reconnect with old interests, and hear constant encouragement from friends. You're strong. You did the right thing. You deserve better. And in that early phase, it truly feels believable. The future looks wide open, full of possibility. But what's often overlooked is that marriage isn't just a relationship. It's a mental structure. For years, decisions, routines, emotions, and even identity were built around us. When that suddenly disappears, the mind has to rebuild everything from scratch. At first, the excitement covers that loss, but eventually, reality starts asking harder questions. Dating usually becomes part of that new chapter. At first, attention feels validating. Compliments come easily. Matches appear quickly. It feels like proof that leaving was the right decision. But attention and connection are not the same thing. Over time, the difference becomes clearer. Conversations stay surface level. Interest fades quickly. And the realization slowly forms that being noticed doesn't always mean being known. Then comes a quiet moment many people don't talk about. Sitting across from someone new who checks all the boxes, yet still feels unfamiliar. They don't know the small details, the fears, the habits, the inside jokes. That deep familiarity that once felt boring now feels rare. And while this doesn't mean the marriage was perfect, it reminds her that emotional safety takes years to build, not one good date. As time goes on, comparisons happen naturally. Not intentionally, not out of regret, but because the brain looks for patterns. New people get measured against old memories. Sometimes the past begins to feel softer in hindsight, not because it was flawless, but because it was familiar. Familiar often equals safe. Around this stage, exhaustion begins to show up. Maintaining confidence becomes work. Constant positivity becomes draining. Social media smiles don't always match inner feelings. Friends slowly move back into their own lives. Conversations about dating start to feel repetitive. And if children are involved, balancing emotional needs becomes even heavier. Loneliness changes shape here. It's no longer dramatic. It's quiet. It shows up in empty evenings, small decisions made alone, moments when there's no one to share ordinary things with. This kind of loneliness isn't about missing someone specific. It's about missing shared life. Psychologically, the mind tries to protect itself. It rewrites stories. It reframes memories. It searches for explanations that don't damage self-esteem. Admitting a choice was harder than expected doesn't mean it was wrong, but it does challenge the original narrative. That internal conflict creates emotional fatigue, confusion, and sometimes anxiety or numbness. Friendships also change. Married friends may pull away unintentionally. Single friends are living a different phase of life. The support circle often becomes smaller, not larger. What was supposed to feel expansive can start to feel isolating. Another rarely discussed part is identity. For years, being a wife was part of who she was. After divorce, even small choices can feel heavy. What to do on weekends, where to go, who to call first. These moments seem minor, but repeated daily, they slowly wear down emotional energy. Financial reality often adds pressure. Maintaining stability alone costs more than expected. Independence sounds empowering, but independence without support can feel overwhelming. Freedom feels different when responsibility isn't shared. There's also something deeply human that's often ignored: emotional closeness and physical presence. Not intimacy presence, familiar touch, shared silence, emotional grounding. These things regulate the nervous system, and when they disappear, the body feels it even if the mind tries to ignore it. Eventually, many women reach a moment of clarity, not necessarily regret, but understanding, realizing that what they wanted emotionally and what divorce delivered aren't always the same thing. Wanting change doesn't automatically mean life improves, it just means life becomes different. And here's where the story often takes an unexpected turn. While she's navigating this emotional rebuilding, her ex-partner may also be changing, healing, growing, becoming more grounded. When she notices this directly or indirectly, it can bring complicated emotions. Not jealousy, not longing, but reflection. The realization that growth sometimes happens because of loss, not before it. This isn't about blame. It's about truth. Divorce doesn't fail, people's expectations do. Many women don't leave because someone wasn't enough. They leave because something inside them felt unfulfilled. But leaving doesn't fix internal emptiness. It only removes the distraction. So, how does life really change for an ex-wife after divorce? She gains freedom? Yes. Independence? Yes. But she also gains responsibility, solitude, emotional rebuilding, and hard self-reflection. Sometimes peace comes later. Sometimes clarity arrives slowly. Sometimes the lesson is simply this: different doesn't always mean better. It just means different. And here's the most important ending thought. Healing isn't about going back. It's about understanding. Understanding yourself, your expectations, your patterns, and what truly brings fulfillment. Because real happiness isn't found in escape, it's found in alignment. And here's the part most people never admit. Not out loud, and sometimes not even to themselves. Divorce doesn't always reveal what was wrong with a relationship. Sometimes it reveals what was unresolved within the person who left. Not because they were bad, or selfish, or careless, but because expectations quietly grew louder than reality. Years later, many ex-wives don't look back with anger. They look back with understanding. Understanding that freedom without clarity can feel emptier than commitment without perfection. That starting over doesn't erase old questions, it simply asks them again, this time in silence. And that's the real shift divorce creates. Not in relationship status, not in social media captions, but in the way a person learns, sometimes painfully, that running toward more doesn't guarantee fulfillment. Because the hardest truth isn't that life changed after divorce. It's realizing that life changed inside, and no new beginning can fix what was never faced. If this perspective resonated with you, stay with the channel, because real insight doesn't come from comforting stories, it comes from honest ones.